For pensioners. KKDW agencies to step up efforts to end rural poverty. Salam Malaysia Madani, you're watching Malaysia Tonight with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the government will come up with measures to protect pensioners following the federal court's decision which invalidated amendments to the pension law. Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said the government is working on the details of the mechanism and will make an announcement soon.
We'll deal with it. We will deal with it. I mean, we will certainly protect the... We have to respect the decision of the federal court, but we are having mechanism to protect the pensioners.
Will there be any government...
We will announce soon. We are working on the details.
On 27 June, the federal court ruled that legal amendments made in 2013, which introduced a new pension scheme that adjusts pension payments every year by a 2% increment, were less favorable to pensioners and unconstitutional. The decision meant that the older version of the law containing the old pension adjustment scheme would be restored. Meanwhile, the Premier said the government was open to a suggestion by the Employees Provident Fund or EPF to make it mandatory for new EPF members in the future to withdraw their savings periodically instead of a lump sum on reaching 55 years old. Well, yesterday, EPF Chief Executive Officer Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azizan was reported as saying that the existing option of periodic withdrawals on a monthly basis was seen as offering members a better way to manage their retirement funds. He said making periodic withdrawals would also allow members to continue enjoying annual dividends for their remaining savings in EPF. On another note, Datuk Seri Anwar said MCA and MIC will continue to assist the unity government despite their decision to withdraw from the upcoming 15th State Legislative Assembly elections or PRU DUN ke-15. The Premier said that both the MCA and MIC presidents had respectively contacted him and expressed their intention to skip the elections. Well, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said a total of 96% of Japanese companies intend to remain in Malaysia, with half of them wanting to expand their business in the country. Well, Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said this figure was based on a survey by the Japan External Trade Organization, or JETRO, adding that the rate of expansion was higher than the ASEAN average and the second highest in the region. Elaborating further through a post in Facebook recently, the Premier said both Malaysia and Japan continue to celebrate strong diplomatic relations, now entering their 65th year, and Japan is one of Malaysia's most important and fourth largest trading partner, with a trade volume of $41.21 billion in 2022. Well, he also said that Japan is also listed as one of the main sources of foreign direct investment, or FDI, coming into Malaysia in manufacturing projects. Last year, a total of 2,746 projects were implemented, with a total investment worth $27.25 billion and a total of 336,326 job opportunities were generated, while this year the country obtained an investment commitment from Japan amounting to $23 billion. In this regard, Datuk Seri Anwar said it was important for Malaysia to continue to ensure a conducive investment environment that will be able to attract more foreign investors to the country, as the continued increase in FDIs is proof of the growing confidence of foreign investors in Malaysia's economic progress and potential. On another note, Datuk Seri Anwar said in recent years, FDI inflow continued to increase as the country saw approved investments amounting to 71.4 billion ringgit in the first quarter of this year, making it a significant jump of 60% compared to the same period last year. Now, the Premier said the country's economic fundamentals continue to be strong, proven by low inflation and an increasingly stable political landscape. He said demand for Malaysian products and services is also increasing, increasing, and the government is also firmly committed to developing new industries such as the digital economy and green technology. Dato' Sri Anwar further expressed confidence in the performance of future investments in Malaysia, which will certainly continue to be robust. The government will also continue to do its best to strengthen the investment climate, and the government is also making it easier to conduct businesses, attract valuable and high-impact investments, and create a local workforce that has competitive value. The Premier added that the effort is in line with the objectives of the upcoming New Investment Policy, or NIP, and will be further streamlined in the New Industrial Master Plan, or NIMP 2030, which will be launched in August. Well, Dato' Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has called on departments and agencies under the Rural and Regional Development Ministry, or KKDW, to step up efforts in ending rural poverty by ensuring the effectiveness of every plan and program being carried out for the rural population. The Deputy Prime Minister, who is also KKDW Minister, said that more efforts are needed in line with the target set by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim in eradicating hardcore poverty at all levels.
Saya harap sasaran untuk menoktakan miskin tegar ini mesti dilakukan oleh agensi-agensi wilayah ini, kerana kebanyakan berada di sana. Tetapi jangan lupa masyarakat di bandar yang dipanggil sebagai urban poverty itu juga berada di bandar. Kesetiaan tegar, biarlah agensi lain yang melaksanakan. Soalnya kita yang menjaga Kementerian Kemajuan Desa dan Wilayah mesti melakukannya dan menterjemahkan apa yang disasarkan oleh Yang Berhormat Perdana Menteri.
Dato' Sri Ahmad Zahid also urged two KKDW agencies, namely Felkra Berhad and South Kelantan Development Authority, or Kesedar, to improve their existing collaboration to produce 1 million broilers per cycle compared to the current 250,000. Earlier, Felkra and Kesedar took the initiative to collaborate to develop a closed poultry farming project in Paloh Empat, Gua Musang, with a capacity of 250,000 broilers per cycle. The project generates various local economic activities such as service and maintenance, landscaping, supply chain, construction, contract jobs, and so forth. Well, Sarawak has now reached the ranks of a high-income state. And according to latest data from the World Bank, Sarawak qualifies as a high-income state as it has a gross national income per capita of more than 61,442 ringgit. Well, according to the World Bank lead economist Apurva Sanghi in a Twitter post, 83 out of the 218 countries are now high income. Now, newest entrants include Guyana and American Samoa. According to figures also shared by Apurva in his tweet, Sarawak now joins the ranks of Pulau Pinang and Federal Territories, Labuan and Kuala Lumpur. Apurva noted that the state-level GDP data are obtained from the Department of Statistics Malaysia and converted to US dollars, applying the World Bank Atlas method divided by the media population. Well, according to its website, the World Bank said it assigns economies to four income groups: low, lower middle, upper middle, and high income. Coming up next, ringgit ends lower as Bank Negara maintains OPR.
Memulakan langkah pertama memerlukan 1000 kekuatan. Langkah seterusnya memerlukan nekat dan juga keyakinan. Namun kita harus sokong dan bantu mereka kerana kepulihan itu pasti.
Well, Bank Negara Malaysia's, or BNM's Monetary Policy Committee, or MPC, has decided during today's meeting to maintain the overnight policy rate, or OPR, at 3%. Now, BNM said that at the current OPR level, the monetary policy stance is slightly accommodative and remains supportive of the economy, and the MPC continues to see limited risks of future financial imbalances. The central bank said in a statement that the MPC remained vigilant to ongoing developments and will continue to monitor incoming data to inform the assessment on the outlook of domestic inflation and growth. BNM added that the global economy continues to expand, driven by resilient domestic demand supported by strong labour market conditions. Global growth, however, remains weighed down by persistent core inflation and higher interest rates. The growth outlook remains subject to downside risks, it noted, mainly from a slower momentum in major economies, higher than anticipated inflation outturns, an escalation of geopolitical tensions, and a sharp tightening in financial market conditions. The ringgit ended lower against the US dollar on Thursday after the greenback strengthened following the latest minutes from the Federal Reserve's meeting, indicating a possible interest rate hike in the United States. Now, at 6 p.m., the local note slipped to 4.6580/6630 against the greenback, compared with 4.6485/6555 at Wednesday's close. Now, SBI Asset Management Managing Director Stephen Innes said the latest Fed's policy meeting minutes reinforce its hawkishness, which is a catalyst to further strengthen the US dollar. On the home front, Bank Negara Malaysia's or BNM's Monetary Policy Committee MPC today announced the decision to maintain the overnight policy rate or OPR at 3%. The central bank said the Malaysian economy has continued to grow as income and employment remain favourable and would continue to support household spending. According to Innes, as the BNM holds the rate steady ahead of a widely expected hike by the Fed in July, it widens the expected interest rate between the US dollar and the ringgit. Well, Malaysia's e-commerce income by establishment rose 10.4% year-on-year to 291.7 billion ringgit in the first quarter of 2023, primarily driven by the manufacturing and services sectors. Now, the Department of Statistics Malaysia, or DOSM, said e-commerce income in 2022 amounted to nearly 1.1 trillion ringgit, an increase of 6% compared with the previous year. Well, these positive results can be attributed to the government's initiatives aimed at establishing a regional e-commerce gateway, investing in e-commerce startups, promoting innovation through a regulatory sandbox, and enhancing communication and broadband facilities. Well, these efforts have yielded substantial economic benefits, including increased adoption of digital technology and overall improved performance. Well, according to DOSM, income generated from e-commerce surged 23.9% to 1.037 trillion ringgit in 2021 from 675.4 billion ringgit in 2019. Well, it said although the COVID-19 pandemic had a negative impact on overall health and economy, the restrictions and safety measures imposed to control the spread of the virus, such as lockdowns, social distancing, and limited physical store operations, had led to a surge in online shopping and digital transactions. The Communications and Digital Ministry, or KKD, has allocated 3.9 billion ringgit to continue the implementation of the Point of Presence, or POP, Phase 2 project, involving 3,693 POP sites near schools in the rural areas throughout the country. Its Minister Fahmi Fadzil said the implementation of Phase 2 of the POP project, which started in December last year to provide high-speed broadband services, would benefit at least 432,300 premises. As for the implementation of Phase 1 of the project involving 630 locations, he said it was expected to be completed by the end of this year. Fahmi said the POP initiative was one of the government's commitments to encouraging the use of digital technology by all levels of society, regardless in the city or in the rural areas. He said it was also aimed at preparing the people with digital skills to bridge the digitalization gap, as well as empower the country's telecommunications infrastructure, thus meeting the country's needs in driving the digital economy.
Pelaksanaan projek Point of Presence ini menjadikan lokasi berhampiran sekolah. Contohnya SMK Datuk Undang Haji Adnan ini sebagai hub penyediaan infrastruktur jalur lebar, gentian optik. Bila sebut ni selalu susah nak sebut, panjang. Ya. Infrastruktur jalur lebar, broadband, gentian optik, fiber optik. Ini untuk anak-anak ni, ini adalah perkataan-perkataan yang menjadi, orang kata, kebiasaan. Harus menjadi kebiasaan untuk kita, fiber optik. Ya. Dan sekolah ini menjadi hub bagi fiber optik broadband ini untuk kegunaan sekolah, kawasan perindustrian, premis-premis kerajaan seperti hospital, klinik desa, balai polis, balai bomba dan lain-lain. Selain itu, komunitis kita juga akan menikmati perkhidmatan jalur lebar berkelajuan tinggi yang lebih stabil.
Well, the private company responsible for handling travellers who were issued the Immigration Department's, quote, not to land, unquote, or NTL notice at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, is being investigated. Well, Transport Minister Anthony Logue said representatives from the Ministry and Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad, or MAHB, have been meeting with the airline committee which hired the firm. He said the management of the NTL was handled by a private company appointed by the Airline Operators Committee, AOC, since 2015 and not by Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad, MAHB. Met today, Logue said since the company was appointed by AOC, the ministry could not take action against it.
Dia bukan dilantikan kita. Okay, dia dilantik oleh syarikat-syarikat penerbangan. Sebab as of now kita tak boleh berhentikan mereka. Sebab dia bukan lantikan kita. Dia lantikan syarikat-syarikat penerbangan. Okay. Dia syarikat-syarikat penerbangan, kerja dia ialah yang pertamanya menyediakan makan minum untuk NTL tersebut dan juga menguruskan trip pulang mereka. Jadi itu kita perlu dapatkan maklumat yang lebih terperinci terlebih dahulu. Kita tak boleh bertindak terburu-buru sekarang.
The full report will be presented in a cabinet meeting after the investigation is completed. Still ahead, Malaysia among 4 countries consulted to join OPEC. Well, Malaysia, Azerbaijan, Brunei and Mexico have been consulted to join the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. While its Secretary General Haitham Al-Ghais said in a statement during the 8th OPEC International Seminar, which kicked off in Vienna yesterday, that consultations with the new countries would contribute to strengthening the cohesion of OPEC. Well, it said OPEC hoped to increase the number of its member states to countries that have the same strategic objectives of preserving and stabilizing oil markets. The OPEC Secretary General noted that the 4 countries that were consulted have been in solidarity with the organization since the year 2017, adding that those countries have gone through qualitative challenges during the collapse of the markets and the pandemic in 2020. Well, therefore, he said all of these countries have the common goal that is in the interest of stabilizing the oil markets. The organization currently has 13 member countries. The local government in India's northeastern state of Manipur has extended its ban on internet services until 10th July, according to officials on Thursday. Well, the ban has been extended owing to the fears of loss of life, damage to property, and widespread disturbances to public tranquility and communal harmony. Well, an order issued by the Manipur Home Department said steps are being taken to prevent the imminent danger of loss of life, damage to public and private property, and widespread disturbances to public tranquility. Now, the northeastern state is on edge since 3rd May, when large-scale violence broke out during a protest over the inclusion of the non-tribal Métis community for a scheduled tribal status. Now, the clashes have left over 100 people dead and displaced 60,000 so far. In response, local authorities imposed a curfew and put a blanket ban on internet services as a precautionary measure to restrict the mobilization of crowds in the state. Now, authorities are concerned about the circulation of inflammatory material, rumors, and the mobilization of agitators and demonstrators through various social media platforms and messaging services. Well, Beijing residents brace for more blistering heat on Thursday, with temperatures expected to hit 40 degrees Celsius and above in some parts of northern capital. Now, Beijing authorities issued a red alert for high temperatures on Thursday morning, the highest in a color-coded alert system. Now, people at a centrally located tourist street could be seen supporting sun protective gear such as umbrellas, sun hats and anti-UV jackets as they braved the heat to queue for ice cream and cold drinks. A 46-year-old owner of a tourist shop surnamed Wu said she felt that demand for sun protection gear had increased this year in comparison with previous ones due to the higher temperatures. Now, the Beijing Weather Observatory has recorded 18 days of temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius for all of June to 5th July, the most in the history of the same period since the station was built in 1951, according to state-backed Beijing Daily. The torrid heat has gripped China for several weeks, pushing local governments to ask residents and businesses to curb the usage of electricity. Peru's government declared a 60-day state of emergency for several southern towns on Wednesday as the country's most active volcano spews ash and gas. Now, ash from the Ubinas volcano in the Mogaihue region, some 1,200 kilometers southeast of the capital Lima, has risen to altitudes of 5,500 meters and has reached towns over 10 kilometers away. Now, the Geophysical Institute of Peru said some 2,000 people live in the affected area surrounding the volcano. And local authorities have not ordered an evacuation yet, but the National Civil Defense Institute started preparing a shelter that was built in 2019 when the volcano erupted and forced the evacuation of hundreds of people. Wednesday's emergency declaration allows the government to take exceptional measures and actions to counter risks from the Ubinas volcano. Now, it was approved in the cabinet meeting with President Dina Boluarte. Peru's Council of Ministers said on Twitter, the southern region of copper-producing Peru is home to some of the country's most important mines, as well as a dozen active volcanoes. Peru is located within the Pacific Ring of Fire, an area with a high incidence of earthquakes and volcanic activity.
Kecemasan, boleh saya bantu?
Hello, there's been a motorcycle accident here. Maybe an elephant ran it over.
Sir, there is fire accident at the address number 5 Jalan Tembikar, Shah Alam.
PGO from FRT Shah Alam, there was no fire accident here. Over.
MERS 999. Use it wisely.
Coming up in sports, Luis Enrique appointed as PSG new coach. Well, Luis Enrique was appointed as the new coach of Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday on a 2-year deal. Well, a 53-year-old former Barcelona coach who had been a free agent since being sacked by Spain last December replaces Christopher Galtier after his departure was confirmed earlier in the day. Luis Enrique was unveiled at a press conference alongside the Qatar-backed club's president Nasser Al-Khelaifi at the new training complex in Poissy, northwest of the French capital. Galtier had only been in charge for one season and still had a year to run on his contract, but his departure had been expected. He led PSG to the league title, but that success was overshadowed by their exit from the Champions League. The final weeks of Galtier's reign were also marred by accusations that he made racist remarks about players during his previous job at Nice. He has vehemently denied the accusations but will stand trial in a case in December. PSG will begin their defense of Ligue 1 title against Lorient on the weekend of 12 and 13th August. Brazil began their preparations for the 2023 Women's World Cup in Australia on Wednesday. Well, the team took in the scenery during a walk in a Gold Coast park and later trained for the first time since landing in the country on Tuesday. Well, after winning a fourth consecutive Copa America, Brazil are hopeful they have found the right balance between experience, emerging talent and natural flair to deliver a first Women's World Cup trophy. The Brazilians, 8th in the FIFA rankings, were dumped out in the 2019 tournament in the round of 16, which led to Swede Piers Sundhage taking over from Vidal to become the team's first foreign coach. Sundhage, who led the US to Olympic gold in 2008 and 2012 and Sweden to silver in Rio de Janeiro, has instilled discipline and confidence, looking to get the right blend of technique and experience from veteran players and emerging talent. Defender Tamires and midfielders Andressa Alves and Debinha also bring strong leadership and technical excellence to the squad, which will be key in Sundhage's flexible strategy. Brazil begin their World Cup against Panama on 24th July before facing France 5 days later and conclude their Group F campaign against Jamaica on 2nd August. Well, on to wheels. Defending champion Jonas Vingegaard laid down an early marker on the Tour de France with a brutal attack that left his main rival Tadej Pogacar gasping for air in the first mountain stage on Wednesday and wondering what might come next. Denmark's Vingegaard accelerated some 2 kilometers from the top of the last climb, the lung-busting ascent to the Col de Marie Blanc, to take 1 minute and 4 seconds off the twice Tour winner. Australian Jai Hindley won the 5th stage, a 162.7-kilometer ride from Pau to take the yellow jersey with Vingegaard finishing 5th, crossing the line 34 seconds behind the 2022 Giro d'Italia champion. Overall, Hindley leads 2nd place Vingegaard by 47 seconds and 6th place Pogacar by 1 minute 40 seconds. After shadowing Pogacar in the first 2 stages, Vingegaard stamped his authority in the steepest part of the Col de Marie Blanc. Thursday's 6th stage is another mountain ride over 144.9 kilometers between Tarbes and Cotteret, featuring punishing climbs up the Col d'Espin and Col du Tourmalet, where Vingegaard could try to put the hammer down.
Perlawanan bola sepak Liga Super 2023. Pertembungan sengit terus menggegar aksi perlawanan. Sabtu, 8 Julai, Sabah FC bertemu Kuching City FC 5.15 petang di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstriman langsung di RTM Klik.
Well, that's it from us this evening. Now, job story, government to announce measures for pensioners. Join us for updates at noon, at 12:30 tomorrow on TV2 and saluran Berita RTM. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Malaysia Madani, tekat perpaduan, penuhi harapan. Thanks for watching.